Good morning, friends. Today we are going to deal with a very important topic in law of torts. This area is being repeatedly asked for examination, and the topic is Damnum sine Injuria and Injuria sine or sine Damno. Damnum sine Injuria and Injuria sine Damno. These are two maxims which are a part of the foundations of tortious liability. Now, what is that? Damnum sine injuria means damage without injury, and injuria sine or sine damno means injury without damage. Now, what is this? These are two maxims. The meaning is that if there is damage without injury, it is non-actionable. Non-actionable means you cannot file a case. On the other hand, injury without damage is actionable. Actionable means you can file a case. Now, at the onset, we have to understand what is a damage and what is an injury. Only then we will be able to understand these maxims clearly. Now, first of all, what is damage? Damage means it is some harm or loss. In fact, some harm or loss. In fact, നമുക്ക് ശാരീരികമായോ സാമ്പത്തികമായോ ഒരു നഷ്ടം വരുന്നതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ഡാമേജ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So damage means it is a deprivation of property or any other loss. That is a loss which is happening in fact. For example, let's see, I have a small house in a 5 cents of land or a 10 cents of land. One fine morning, a big tree falls on my property and destroys a portion of my property. It happens in a storm. വലിയ കാറ്റ് വന്നിട്ട് ഒരു മരം എൻ്റെ വീട്ടിലോട്ട് വീണു, നാശനഷ്ടം ഉണ്ടായി. No, it is causing much loss and pain to me. I have suffered property-wise loss and other loss. But is there anyone responsible? No one is responsible. It is my own misfortune. So this is a case of damage. So damage means it can be any personal loss, it can be a property loss, anything happening in fact to a person. So that is called by the name damage. അത് മറ്റുള്ളവരുടെ ഇടപാട് കൊണ്ടാവാം, അല്ലാതെയും ആകാം. That is a loss which is happening to you in fact with or without interference, whatever it is. Now, this is called a damage. Now, what is the second aspect? Second aspect is injury. Now, the term injury has a different connotation in law, especially the law of tort. Usually, literally, injury means any form of loss is an injury, literally, in language. But in law, the term injury has a different meaning. What is the different meaning? Injury in law of torts or law happens when there is an actionable wrong. When there is an actionable wrong or a violation of a legal right. So only when there is a violation of a legal right, an injury happens. So damage means any loss in fact, and injury means a violation of a legal right or an actionable wrong. What is that? Take an example. I am walking through the road. When I'm walking through the road, someone comes and push me from the backside. I'm not falling down, but he had the intention to make me fall, but I am not falling down. So I have not suffered any damage in the sense that there is no loss for me. But here I have suffered an injury because there is a violation of a legal right. The person had a duty not to interfere with my right to walk through the road. You know that we have studied earlier that for every right there is a corresponding duty, and that duty is violated, there is a wrong. So here he had a duty not to hurt me when I am walking through the road, and as he had interfered with that particular right of mine, I have suffered an injury. So these two terms have to be kept in mind. One, damage, and other, injury. Now we will study maxim one by one. The first maxim is damnum sine injury is not actionable. What does it mean? It means that when you suffer damage but there is no injury in a case, then it is not actionable, means then you cannot file a case. So if there is damage and there is no injury, then you cannot file a case. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് നഷ്ടം മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. നമ്മുടെ നിയമപരമായ അവകാശം ലംഘിച്ചിട്ടില്ല എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് കേസ് കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. ഞാൻ ആദ്യം പറഞ്ഞ വീടിന്റെ കേസ്, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് the first example I stated about the tree falling on my ground on my property in a storm. It is a case which is not actionable because nobody had violated my right. My own misfortune, and I have to suffer. Now with regard to the maxim, now one point you have to keep in mind that in English law, there was another maxim by the name ubi jus ibi remedium. Ubi jus ibi remedium, which means if there is a right, there is a remedy. If there is a right, there is a remedy. Now these two maxims, damnum sine injuria and injuria sine damnum, had evolved from that basic right. Just keep in mind, not much relevant here. Now damnum sine injuria means if there is a damage but no injury, you cannot file a case. Now let's study two cases. In every particular area, we are studying only two basic cases because there are hundreds of cases, important, interesting cases, but we don't have the time to finish all of this in a very small, what do you call, a YouTube video. Anyway, the first important case which we study in damnum sine injuria is Gloucestershire Grammar School teacher case. Gloucestershire Grammar School teacher case. It happens in the 15th century, very early case in England, but is considered to be a classic case with regard to this max. Now, what is the fact of this case? Now, in this case, you see, the plaintiff, consider me to be the plaintiff in the case. ഈ കേസിലെ അന്യായക്കാരൻ ഞാനാണെന്ന് കരുതാം. The plaintiff in this case is running a small school in a place called Gloucestershire. Gloucestershire means a town or a small shire something like a town or a state in England. He is running a small town. I mean, the plaintiff is running a small school. And what happened is that, and so many students are studying in that school. Later, another person started another school nearby. Say, opposite side of the road or very near to this school. But ഞാൻ നടത്തുന്ന സ്കൂളിന്റെ അടുത്തായിട്ട് മറ്റൊരു സ്കൂൾ തുടങ്ങി. So what happened? Many of the students from my school, they went and joined the other school. Normally happens. If that school is better school, children will go from this school to the other school. It happened. So what happened? When many of my children went to the other school, I have a loss. My income was, there was a decrease in my income. So I suffered a loss and I went and filed a case. Now when it reached the court of law, the court of law said that, see, you have suffered a loss. You have suffered a damage. But you have not suffered any injury. There is no violation of your legal right. There is no law which says that when you are running a school, no other person should start another school nearby. As there is no such rules in that particular share, the other person is free to start a school. And if you have suffered loss, there is a loss, but there is no violation of a legal right. So this is a case of damage but no injury. That is damage but no violation of legal right. So you cannot file a case. It is not an actionable wrong. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എനിക്ക് നഷ്ടമുണ്ടായി, പക്ഷേ എൻ്റെ നിയമപരമായ അവകാശങ്ങൾ ലംഘിക്കപ്പെട്ടിട്ടില്ല, അതുകൊണ്ട് I cannot file a case. This is the first case, Gloucestershire Grammar School case. Second case is Town Area Committee versus Prabhu Dayal. Town Area Committee versus Prabhu Dayal. No, it's comparatively modern in the sense that it has happened in the 20th century. Now, in Town Area Committee, see, a person constructed a house, a building. Many of the portion of the building is projecting into the street. See, you construct a house and a portion of your building is projecting into the street. നമ്മളൊരു ബിൽഡിംഗ് കെട്ടുമ്പോൾ പകുതി റോഡിലോട്ട് കയറി നിൽക്കുകയാണ്. You are encroaching into the road. Now what happened? As municipal authority, the town area committee, who is in charge of the town, without notice to the plaintiff, demolish the protruding part of the building. And a roadilote തള്ളി നിൽക്കുന്ന ഏരിയ നോട്ടീസ് കൊടുക്കാതെ ടൗൺ ഏരിയ കമ്മിറ്റി പൊളിച്ചു കളഞ്ഞു. See, if I am the plaintiff, supposing I am the plaintiff, I have suffered loss. I have spent so many money on the constructing the building and there is a loss. So I go and file a case. What did the court say? Here, you have no right to build a building protruding into the street. When the town area committee destroys or demolishes your building, it is true that you have suffered damage, but it is a case of damage without violation of a legal right. Because at the beginning, you had no right to build that house. As you have no right to build that house, then you cannot complain of that being destroyed. You might remember the incident that happened in Marada. A big, huge 3 flats were demolished as it was in violation of the particular rules, the environmental rules. Now what happens here? The builders, that is the persons who build the house, build the particular married flats, they cannot go and file a case claiming that they have suffered damage, because it is a case of damnum, sine, injury. So these are the two classic cases which you can keep in mind. That was the Gloucestershire Grammar School case and Town Area Committee versus Prabhudaya. There are so many other cases, English cases even. Mughal Steam Shipping Company. These are similar cases which you can refer. Now the first part is over. Now coming to the second part. What is the second part? Second part is Injuria sine Damno. Injuria sine Damno. Injuria sine Damno means you have suffered an injury. That is, you have suffered a violation of a legal right. But you have suffered no damage. So there was no actual personal loss for you. There was no actual personal harm for you. നമുക്ക് നഷ്ടമൊന്നും ഉണ്ടായിട്ടില്ല. പക്ഷേ നമ്മുടെ ഒരു നിയമപരമായ അവകാശം ലംഘിക്കപ്പെട്ടു. There was no actual loss for you, but you have suffered a violation of a legal right. Some legal right of yours have been violated. In such circumstances, you can file a case. It is an actionable wrong. Case കൊടുക്കാവുന്ന ഒരു തെറ്റാണ്. So that is the second maxim. That is, injury without damage is actionable. Injury without damage is actionable. Injuria sine damno is actionable. ഒന്ന് ആലോചിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അതെന്താണെന്നുള്ള മനസ്സിലാവും. Now here also we will discuss two cases. One is the classic case of Ashby versus White. ASHBY versus White. WHITE. Now in Ashby versus White, what are the facts? Facts are very simple. See, I am a voter of a constituency. It happens in England, not here, in England. It's also a very ancient case, but one classic case. So I am a voter of a constituency. My name is there in the electoral rolls. On the day of the voting, I go to the polling stations and I wanted to vote. Imagine I am going to vote for a person by the name Tom. Let's consider I want to go and vote for a person called Tom, T-O-M. So a voter, myself, go to the polling station with the credentials and shows it, and I want to vote. My name is there in the electoral rolls. On some ground, the polling officers are not allowing me to vote. I went on arguing with them that I am an voter, my name is there, all these things. For some reason or other, they are not allowing me to vote in the election. Whom did I wanted to win? I wanted Mr. Tom to win. Consider Tom winning this election by 1 lakh vote. So the candidate whom I wanted to win has won the election by 1 lakh vote. So did I suffer any loss? Practically no harm had been done. No loss happened. Had I voted, his majority would have been 1 lakh, 1 vote. Nothing more, nothing less. So technically there is no damage in the electoral officers not allowing me to vote in the election or the polling officers. But my right to vote in the election has been violated. Being a man whose name is entered in the electoral rolls, I have a right to vote. So this right to vote has been violated by another person. So I have suffered an injury. So even though I have not suffered a loss or damage, I have suffered an injury. So in the subsequent case, the court held that even though there is no damage, you can file a case and claim a damage or compensation, whatever it is. So this is a case of what? This is a case of injury sine damno. That is a case of violation of a legal right without damage. Even then you can file a case. So that is the first case. Very important case, Ashby versus White. Now the second important case which I am going to discuss right now is also an English case. There are so many other Indian cases too which you can refer. The second case which I am going to cite or I am going to explain is Constantine versus Imperial Hotels Limited. Constantine versus Imperial Hotels Limited. I think there is London Hotels Limited. Now what are the facts of this case? An interesting case. See, Constantine was a very famous West Indian cricketer. Trinidad, or I am not sure about the particular island. So you know that most of the West Indian cricketers are colored persons, black men. And Constantine also was a colored man. Now he booked a room in a hotel in London. I think it is London in England. For him and his family. I think it was for playing a match in the Lords, you know, that famous what do you call cricket ground, Lords. There was a game there, and he was coming to England, and he had booked a room in this particular very famous hotel. So all the rooms were arranged, a suite was arranged, all specifications were given, and the suite was arranged. And Constantine, he landed in England. He checked in this hotel, and it was a very wonderful hotel, and everything was there. He lived there for one day, and then on the second day, the hotel authorities came to him and said, "Sorry, sir, all the rooms for this day has been pre-booked, and therefore there is no room available. So you can't stay in this room today and the rest of the days. But don't worry, we will take you at our own expense to another hotel of ours." So they had another hotel too, where you will be given a room with all same specification as being provided in this hotel. So he will be provided with a suite with all specification of the particular Imperial hotels. In another hotel of theirs, a little far away, but they will be taking him by their own cab, and there is no worries. Constantine was a little upset, but he had no other go. So he was taken to another hotel and given a room which with same specification and all facility which was available in the London, Imperial London Hotel. So in one way, there is no loss or harm or injury to him because he didn't have to even get a cab. It was also arranged by the hoteliers. But he was a little offended. He filed a case. Now, his case is that I had booked a room in the Imperial Hotels, London. And as I had booked a room there, I have a right to stay in that particular hotel for the specific number of days. So even though the hoteliers have given him a room in another hotel with same specification, he had a right to stay in the Imperial Hotels itself. അയാൾ ബുക്ക് ചെയ്ത ഹോട്ടലിൽ തന്നെ താമസിക്കാൻ അയാൾക്കൊരു അവകാശം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ ഇവര് അതിന് പകരം അയാളെ ഇതേ ഫെസിലിറ്റി ഉള്ള മറ്റൊരു ഹോട്ടൽ റൂമിലാണ് താമസിപ്പിച്ചത്. And therefore there is a violation of his legal right, even though there is no personal loss or harm or damage. He suffered a legal injury. You know, the real reason why he was checked out from the hotel was this hotel usually provided only for white men. ഈ ഹോട്ടലിൽ വെള്ളക്കാരെ മാത്രമേ സാധാരണഗതിയിൽ സമ്മതിക്കുള്ളൂ. So it so happened that after the first day, many of the European and white occupants of that particular hotel started complaining about a black person residing along with them. This is why the hoteliers shifted him. You know, apartheid, discrimination, everything was happening throughout Europe during that period, in many countries. So that was the real reason, but we don't have to go deep into that. So the only contention of Constantine was that I had booked a room in one particular hotel, but they had failed to give me or provide me with a room in that particular hotel. And therefore, there is a violation of a legal right. And therefore, he has suffered an injury. This argument was accepted by the court. And he was allowed damage. So this is the second part of it, that is, injury without damage is actionable. Injury without damage is actionable. So this is the end of the maxim, that is, Damnum sine injuria is not actionable. Injuria sine damno is actionable. The first means damage without injury. You cannot file a case. You can file a case, but there will be no remedy. And injury sine damno, injury without damage, you can file a case. So much with regard to this maxim. Thank you for the patient here.